There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like the study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then just, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, the huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salt.
I'm Cam. Are we doing a bit, or is it all gone skew with?
It's a bit, Cam. We're doing a bit.
Fantastic. Very funny. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's really helpful.
We're starting off 2025 with maybe the worst starting bit we could possibly do.
The year of pranking Cam. Let's not do that.
Happy New Year, fellas.
You too, mate.
Happy New Year, Robbo.
Hey, at the end of last year, we managed to all catch up face-to-face.
Yeah.
And it was really delightful. So it was good to hang out with you fellas.
Yeah, thanks for taking us out to probably the best barbecue that we've ever had on their final day
of trade.
Yep. So it's just giving us the gates to the Garden of Eden and then ripping them away from us.
Yes, shout out to Hewson's Barbecue. I think they'll still be doing pop-ups in Melbourne, so you follow them on Instagram and check it out, because, boy, that was good queue.
It was a really good queue.
All right, we've got some weekly world news to get into, Robbo and Salty.
So we've jumped forward. So when we last did Weekly World News, we started in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason, the Google Archive jumps forward to 1985.
Yeah.
So we've time traveled. A couple of things of note, or one thing of note. The lady that we liked the predictions of, she has been cut.
She's gone.
Yeah, and look, she wasn't earning a spot on the team.
No, none of her predictions had ever come true. But I was so jazzed to be like, let's really dig into these predictions.
Yeah, Cam, you said when we started this one, I dropped the link in and you're like, I can't wait to see these predictions. Anyway.
Back behind the Iron Curtain, I think.
Yes, so this is January 1, 1985. The Weekly World News cost 50 cents at the time.
Yep, so just to set the scene, like the inventor of hypercolour is still struggling in a world that won't accept his invention.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But they're getting there.
Yep.
In maybe 2 or 3 years, the world will be ready for hypercolour. That's all of the scene setting. I think once people are on that, they're like 1985, I got it. I'm locked in.
It's like I'm there already. So, look, this one, it's a bit of a dud issue, if I'm honest. There's a lot in here. There's a lot of problematic things.
Yeah. And it's disappointing because it starts off, the main headline on the front page is Scuba Expert Battles for Her Life, Diver Attacked by Mermaids, which seems like it should be, the whole thing should be chock-a-block with cookedness.
Yeah.
And this is probably the only cooked thing in there. The only cooked thing in terms of the supernatural.
Yeah. There's some grave snatchers, but I think it's just people robbing graves. And there is a story about a ghost ship, which is just an old-timey one. The subheading, or the stand first on the front page of that one, says, the creatures were female, but they were horribly ugly things.
Mm. Which that's a bit of a theme in this issue.
Did Salty do a spit take then?
I had a drink and it went bloink after. And it came through my microphone really loudly.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I don't think she was a scuba expert. I think the first part of the headline's a lie. And it's unlike the Weekly World News to mislead us. Also on the front page, rich Texan loses $1 million on one roll of the dice.
Right.
I feel like that would happen even in the 80s reasonably often. Next up is your dreams can kill you, warn doctors. After that is Michael Jackson is too wimpy, says rock bad boy Mick Jagger.
I like how in that actual article they refer to Mick. This is what? How many years ago?
This was 1980. Yeah,
40 years ago. They've referred to Mick Jagger as rock oldster. 40 years ago, he's still going.
When did his collab with David Bowie, Dancing in the Street, come out?
I don't know, 89?
1985.
There we go.
So, like, I guess my point is, by this point, Mick Jagger, when he came out, sure, there might have been a bit of a rock and roll edge to the Rolling Stones.
Mm.
By this point, heavy metal, punk, crossover thrash, death metal probably exists by now. And that the same year, Mick Jagger does a really, really, really bad duet with David Bowie, Dancing in the Street. If people haven't watched it, it's worth watching. There's also a silent version where someone's, done like Foley work over the thing, and that's really funny. I guess my point is Mick Jagger is probably in no position to start calling people wimpy at this point.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad thing. I don't want to say being a little bit softer is bad. But I mean, Mick Jagger wasn't exactly a bad boy of rock and roll at this point. He was probably a sir at this point. Anyway.
Well, it doesn't get much more of a bad boy than that, does it? Being knighted.
Being knighted.
We've also got on the wimpy theme, Mr. Puniverse, world's wimpiest pipsqueak, wins lightweight title. I remember these.
Do you remember these competitions?
I do, yeah. Do you?
No, and it doesn't make sense to me because I think even I thought that the way it worked was that there were different weight classes, but still the strongest person in each weight class should win. It shouldn't be the wimpiest pipsqueak.
Yeah, so I think they do it.
That's a different competition.
They do it on vibes. Like, so there was an ad in New Zealand, maybe, I think it was just New Zealand, and it was for Roundup, weed killer, probably a horribly toxic chemical. But it had like one of these wimpy contestants posing with his shirt off, and then the Roundup comes and boofs him out of the way, boonk, and he flies off the screen. And it's like, oh, are your other weed-killing things too wimpy or too puny or whatever? So I think awareness in New Zealand for wimpy men doing puny competitions was pretty high in the 90s. So I knew about them. So this is a competition that has been running or was running for a while. And it's just like finding a guy that's, Weasley but skinny and got maybe a little muscle, just like a little muscle on his bicep. And then they get a prize.
Right.
Could I just say to the marketing department of Roundup, is it really that great a thing to say our product will bash a weak man? Like if you've got a really weak person, our product can handle it.
Yeah.
I would say to the Roundup people, maybe stay in your lane of giving people cancer or whatever you're supposed to be doing.
I think absolutely. Like, we're a farming company and farmers are tough, and look at this dweeb on our farm. Let's get him out of here. And I think maybe they use the word weedy as a pun.
All right.
Now that I think about it, lad. I've just Googled Mr. Puniverse. The first result is tough at the top in the world of Mr. Puniverse. That was in 2004. That was a New Zealand article. There is a Muscle and Fitness Gallery, Mr. Puniverse. So that's something. This is in 2022. Bring back the iconic Mr. Puniverse. I think this might be quite a big thing in New Zealand because this is a New Zealand article. This is from the New Brighton Residents Association in New Zealand. Bring back the iconic Mr. Puniverse. And there's a freaking blog post saying let's...
Why is the Brighton Residents Association getting involved, though? Is Brighton a particularly puny suburb? Do they have a lot to gain from bringing back the competition?
Welcome to another post of events not likely to be seen again in New Brighton and coastal area. The first photo reveals only one existing feature. It was a tree, blah. There's a woman in a pancake. I think this is just old people going, oh, the world's changing and we're not going to see these things anymore. Because there's one of like some beauties posing, like a beautiful lady competition.
Yeah.
And then there's the men's division was like Puniverse people, puny dudes. Also, a Mr. Puniverse for people like a former contestant told me they attracted more female attention than the muscle men.
Ooh.
There you go. Anyway, the Weekly World News and the New Brighton Residents Association both cover the Puniverse competition. And then the other two headlines, pathetic dog has been caged for 7 lonely years.
Why is it a pathetic dog?
I know, right? What the hell? And, like, this seems to be a theme of this paper. There's another story. Like, there's a couple of bad animal stories. I don't think we should read them out. And it's like, they were quite gleeful about them. There's also a photo of a dog looking like Sherlock Holmes' hat, and it says Sherlock Bones.
Ah, that's pretty good.
And there's a photo of another tiny dog in front of a big car. So they're both pretty good.
They would have been good in the 1981 issues, where we were like all about the turtle pictures and the fun things.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that element as well, but there's also like some one really horrible animal story that I will not bear, but yeah, not cool.
Also taking a bit of glee in gangs of young men armed with sticks and bats are hunting down bums and street people and wailing the tar out of them just for the sheer fun of it.
Yeah, this is. I was going to mention this in terms of that same theme. The headline of this is "Youth Gangs Beating the Daylights Out of Vagrants in Cruel Craze," which makes it sound like it's going to be against beating the vagrants. And the article is not. It is the most positive story about beating up unhoused people that has ever been published.
Because it's like, let's get them out of our communities, right? Let's clean up the streets and bash the homeless until they leave.
Yeah, the tone of that article, I read the whole thing and not good.
One pack of toughs shoved a transient off a cliff into the ocean. The fuck?
Yeah. Very, not good. They do...
Sorry, can I just continue that sentence?
Yeah.
The man had to lie motionless among the rocks on the beach below for 10 minutes before his attackers decided he was dead and went away.
Yes, this is the kind of, as I said, it's a little bit gleeful almost.
Yeah.
It does talk, they do talk to the cops about making some arrests, but like there's one sentence about we've made some arrests and the suspects are all young, and then one giant paragraph about the homeless people in town and what they're doing about that. So, I don't know, not great. Also on that page, this is ticked off Americans are unhappy with packaging. And at the time, 93% of people surveyed were unhappy with spray cans that won't spray.
Right.
And I don't think that's ever been an issue in my life.
No, maybe a real old spray can that's like got gunged up, like dried up, won't, and it's got blocked.
81% of people were complaining about leaking cartons. 75% of people had cans with tear-off tabs that cut fingers.
Well, I guess they fixed that eventually, right? Because they would have changed the can opening mechanism.
Reading this, there's a lot more of just people complaining about their packaging not being great. I think society's come a long way in packaging design, so I guess we could be thankful for that.
I mean, look, one of these things is packages marked cents off that aren't actually any cheaper. That's basically what's going on in Coles right now, yeah? In Coles and Woolies. People are like, they've put a special tag in front that says $2, and then when you lift it up, the regular price is like $1.80.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a real big issue in Australia, right? I guess some complaints are timeless.
Indeed. Now, so another timeless complaint is that you can't even go for a bloody swim without woke mermaids trying to rip you apart.
Yeah, let's get to the mermaids. That's the interesting stuff.
Diver attacked by mermaids. And I did look up this diver to see if there was any further news about her. And the only other mentions of her name that I could find online, bear in mind that this was published in a magazine in 1985, were like diving magazines which republished this story.
I found a lady of the same name or a similar spelling of her name that did a cover of a song about mermaids.
Oh.
But it was I'm 99% sure it was a different lady.
Scuba diver Maria Castanhara was caught in a nightmare fight for her life when she was savagely attacked by legendary creatures believed to exist only in the minds of shipwrecked sailors, a band of mermaids. The 24-year-old Brazilian beauty said only the fear that no one would ever know what happened to her gave her the strength and determination to survive her incredible ordeal in the crystal-clear Caribbean waters off Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. I thought I was going to die, Maria told authorities. Which authorities? Only hours after her harrowing escape from the creatures of the deep. I guess I'm really lucky that I didn't. There were 4 of the beasts, and there is no doubt that they wanted to kill me, and they were beasts. I've never believed in mermaids, but in stories I've read, they are supposed to be irresistibly beautiful women. The creatures that closed on me were definitely female. They had human breasts, but they were horribly ugly things. The human part of their body was covered with slime and swarming with tiny sea animals, and their hair was like long, oily seaweed. They weren't beautiful. So much for the sisterhood, Maria.
Yeah. It's weird that she had time to see their breasts when there was so much other things going on and see and comment, and then also comment on how ugly they were.
Yeah.
As I said, she was a dental assistant, and she was doing a little 2-week dive in Rio de Janeiro.
No, she's from Rio de Janeiro. She's diving in the Yucatan seashore.
Oh, sorry.
An area noted for its spectacular underwater beauty, and a beauty not to be found in its mermaid population.
Let's get some hotter mermaids out there. But they did refer to her on the front page as a diving expert, which I don't think it's true.
No,
they also,
the dental assistant expert, I'll accept.
Apparently other divers have reported strange sightings, which I think is just in the caption.
Yeah, that's the only expert in the story, though.
Yeah. Oh, it does say above it, scuba expert fights for her life against mind-boggling deep-sea savagery. What do we think about this? Do we think this is entirely made up?
I'm wondering if she was attacked by something like a Humboldt squids.
What's a Humboldt squid?
Like a big red squid that lives in the waters off California and Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Do they have beautiful breasts?
Well, I would say no, but
well, that might fit then. If they have breasts because they're ugly, it could be a squid.
She was freaking out. She might have. If she wasn't a scuba expert, she might have got her O2 levels a bit mixed up.
Well, she said she had a full tank.
Yeah, but what if she wasn't mixing it right? What if she had the oxygen nitrogen mix wrong?
Yeah, what if she had the breast mix wrong?
Yeah,
too much of the breast gas.
Tripping balls on oxygen depletion.
She's just looking at squids and seeing norks.
Yeah.
She does say that she had a full tank of oxygen, but that if she took too many big gulps in panic, that she would run out of air, which surely you can have a few big gulps when you're down in the water.
That should be accounted for in a full tank, right?
Yeah.
How long does a scuba tank last? I've never been scuba diving.
Me neither.
How long does a scuba tank last?
I can't imagine.
20 years. That doesn't seem right.
That's not the right time that we want. We want to know how long does the air in a scuba tank last?
Once again, AI proves its use. Thank you, Google.
Let's say you probably scuba dive for like 45 minutes or something, right?
This is the top comment on r/scuba. This was posted 5 years ago. I usually get about 1.5 to 2 hours from a shallow shore dive.
Yeah, so you got 2 hours of air. So how big a gulp are you taking?
How far has scuba technology come?
1985. Between 1985 and 2020, when that was posted, because we don't want to know about any recent developments.
Can I do something just experimental here?
Yep.
Hey, so I was just wondering if it was 1985 and I was scuba diving off the Mexican coast and I had a full tank of oxygen and I started taking giant gulps of air, how long would my scuba tank last for?
For scuba diving with a full tank of compressed air, not pure oxygen, the duration depends on several factors like tank size, depth, and your breathing rate. Typically, a standard tank can last about an hour at shallow depths with normal breathing. Taking giant gulps would shorten that time considerably.
Okay, but is that for modern tanks or is that for tanks in 1985?
The general principle is the same, but tank technology and scuba equipment have improved since 1985. Back then, tanks were similar, but regulators and other equipment might have been less efficient, potentially affecting air consumption slightly.
Okay,
and make sure you ask the robot, what if I'm being attacked by
Yeah.
unattractive mermaids.
Yeah, what if I'm being attacked by, like, human-looking but ugly mermaids with real breasts?
That sounds like a pretty wild scenario. If you find yourself imagining something like that, maybe focus on staying calm and thinking about safe and logical solutions. If there's anything specific you'd like to discuss or need help with, feel free to let me know.
So if I'm being attacked by these mermaids in 1985 with a full scuba tank, I should probably be calm and not take giant gulps of air?
In any situation, staying calm and conserving your air is important. Taking controlled breaths helps maintain your air supply longer. If this is a hypothetical or imaginative scenario, the best approach is to stay calm and think clearly.
Well, you've just dropped the name of our podcast there, so thanks for that. That's a big help.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you'd like to discuss or need assistance with, just let me know.
Let her know that we need no further assistance from the robot.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. We don't need anything else, robot lady.
Well,
no, that's enough.
None of that was helpful. It took longer to explain what we had already knew. And I guess the one change she did miss is back then in 1985, scuba tanks, when they got hot or cold, didn't change colour. The technology for that only came in the 1990s with the invention of hypercolour.
Should I ask her about hypercolour?
Don't ask her about hypercolour. I don't want to hear an AI explanation of hypercolour. All right.
Hey, remember in the 80s when hypercolour came out?
No, because that'll only encourage me.
All right. The other stories I noted. This is just a little headline. Madcap rich guy fined 10 G's for smuggling arms. Which I think is quite funny because describing someone who's an international arms smuggler as a madcap rich guy is just a ridiculous way. Bruce Green, an eccentric aristocratic maverick who was famous for his way out sense of fun, like playing polo from the back of an elephant. Turns out he's an arms smuggler, so there you go. There's a lady that says if she won $10 million in lotto, she would buy Tom Selleck.
Yep.
There was another one that said if you dream that you die, you'll die.
Right.
Yep. Well, we know that.
Law.
That's been established since 1985 that that's accurate. If you die in a dream, you die in real life. Just like if you die in VR, you die in real life.
There's one headline saying, now that makes sense. And that's spelled SCENTS, like a smell.
Right.
Now they've come up with a special perfume for long-distance truckers. It's called Long Haul Cologne. And the new scent is marketed at truck stops by the same people who recently introduced special blue jeans for 18-wheelers. It's masculine, fresh, and crisp. The designer of the truckers' jeans said it sells for $16 a bottle. And there's a little cartoon of someone going up to a truck and saying, "Hey, sweetie, what you hauling today? Roses?" And the truck driver looks embarrassed. I don't think that really took off.
No,
Long haul.
I feel like rose is not the scent that truck drivers would probably want in the 80s.
Oh, I think that was just the cartoon.
Right.
Long haul cologne. I can't get any results for long haul cologne. Oh, no. Oh, this had the New York Times. There's a longer article in the New York Times.
From the 80s?
Yeah, 1984, just the year before. So there you go. No other stories, though. It's crazy that the only places that covered that or that you can find record of that are the Weekly World News and the New York Times. Mr. Puniverse competition.
You know, for something that mentions puny people a lot, I just come across a big full-page ad. Now, even if you've been thin for years, you can gain 5, 10, 15 pounds. Men can get an impressive manly body. Skinny men and women are not attractive.
Which is interesting because there's so many weight loss ads in these papers.
Yeah.
Like every second page, there's a weight loss ad.
And then there's a gains ad.
Someone won the Puniverse competition. I don't think it matters who.
There is a story that this is along the lines of all of the anti-women content in this edition. Men fight back. Macho Club vows to put a stop to women's livers. Now, obviously, the women's liberation movement still had a long way to go in 1985. Still has the way to go in 2025. But I feel like, I don't know if women's lib was like still what they might have been calling feminism in 1985. I don't know. Ask the robot that. Women's libbers have gone too far in their quest for equality, said the founder of a new organisation designed to make the gals squirm. It's called WORMS. WORMS stands for the World Organisation to Restore Male Supremacy and is the brainchild of Bob Fenton of Granada Hills, California. Now, I couldn't find any more about Bob Fenton, who is a bearded business consultant, magician, and spiritualist. He says there are just too many groups for the advancement of women, and who are they advancing against? Men, that's who. In his opening salvo sent to news media across America, Fenton said a woman's place is outside the male locker room. They, brackets feminists, are causing women to lose the amenities essential to the relationship between the sexes, he said. We believe most women do not go along with much of the direction of the feminist movement. Worms is a response to the excesses caused by the women's lib crusade, said Fenton, who admits he's largely motivated by a sense of fun. You know, when women get disgusted with men, when they've reached the limits of their endurance, they'll say, why you worm, you? Okay, so we'll be worms. Fenton got the idea for worms during the Equal Rights Amendment movement in 1980, but shelved it to avoid conflict. But when the Democrats nominated Geraldine Ferraro to run for the vice presidency, and when the JCs had to admit women, and when traditionally all-male clubs at Harvard are being pushed to admit women, well, that's going too far. We're for equality in the marketplace, but if men want to sit together and play cards and drink and talk, I don't think they should be infringed upon. After all, women already are the majority, said Fenton.
Very few women, I guess in traditional gender roles, want to hang out with a bunch of dudes, especially the kind of dudes that are in a club called Worms, and drink and play cards and talk. In fact, I imagine that's very unappealing to a lot of people. Specifically, I guess, hanging out with Bob Fenton.
Yeah.
I don't think Bob Fenton is at risk of any woman crashing his card game.
Yeah. Speaking of all-male clubs, there's a headline here. Manager of all-male disco bops vice cop with his purse.
Right. Does he actually do it with his purse?
The manager of an all-male disco was arrested, police said, for losing his temper and slapping an undercover cop with his purse. Vice squad officers had just collared 2 of his dancers for nudity, and he wasn't too happy about what was happening, said Police Captain James Gabbard. Edwin Joseph Willie, manager at Kevin's Cabaret in West Palm Beach, Florida, locked himself in his office after the cops identified themselves, Gabbard said. When the officers insisted on taking him to jail, Gabbard said Willie ripped the sleeve of the cop's coat and pounded him with his purse. The angry manager scuffled with the officer who lost his balance and fell backwards down a stairway, spraining his ankle. Acting on a tip that the cabaret featured naked dancers, 2 undercover agents mingled with 130 customers at the club's late-night show. We've been getting information that they had a regular show on Tuesday nights that included 2 men who stripped down to nothing. Scandalous.
So the cops went and got an eyeful of these 2 fellas' junk.
Yep.
Oh, we're doing an investigation. And then they also claimed that the owner of the club just fell down the stairs under his own accord.
No, I think the police officer fell down the stairs.
Okay.
When the officers pounded, the angry manager scuffled with the officer who lost his balance and fell backwards down a stairway, spraining his ankle.
Yeah, right, okay, yep. All right, fair enough.
So one dancer was arrested after a customer reached up and pulled off his athletic supporter. He continued to dance. Another dancer was taken into custody when he allegedly engaged in lewd and lascivious behavior with a customer on stage. He allowed the customer to fondle him.
Whew. Things were getting hot and heavy in the where was this?
Florida.
Yeah,
West
right.
Palm Beach, Florida.
The only other cooked story is body snatchers. Frustrated families of the dearly departed were forced to put metal bars around tombstones in the early 1800s to protect the dead from doctors. From doctors? That's weird. Hang on. Yeah, right. Doctors were buying corpses from people,
right,
to do like testing on. Doctors paid $15 a piece for corpses just for experiments. And then there's a ghostly captain and his golden hook, which is just another old-timey one of a boat that would turn up in Philadelphia. Under that, though, Cam, have you seen this story? Oh, it's an ad, sorry.
Tell me.
You can, this is how to start your own big profit home import business. Buy below wholesale.
Below wholesale?
Whoa.
You could send away and get one sample import for free. So I don't think you knew what you were importing when you were buying below wholesale. I think you were just emailing, sending off, and they'll just send you some crap, and then you'd have to sell it.
That's a tough proposition, but not for a good salesman. And you've got to be a pretty bloody good salesman if you're buying below wholesale, as long as you sell above retail.
Yeah.
I do the hard work for you by traveling the world and to find dazzling first-time offered new products. The actual sample I will send you free is typical of my import discoveries. You can pick and choose from more than 24,000 products. Deal in one product or thousands. Buy below wholesale. You can start immediately. There are some examples of some things there that they're selling. Cordless drill, some sunglasses, some watches. This was the kind of thing my dad probably would have got into.
Right.
He was involved in some pretty shady businesses in that era, and there was one of his good friends was definitely doing this kind of business.
Right.
Every time he would go visit this guy, he would come back with suitcases full of crap. Like, I bought all these toys, and you're like, these aren't good. Lots of fake things, yeah. Very, very only fools and horses adjacent.
Yeah. Hey, I found another headline that's a bit too bright and bubbly for what the story is, and I don't. Fuck if. Just cut this if one of you's read this out before and I was just fucking daydreaming, like what happened last time.
Yeah.
Gigolo marries rich gal, then runs off with her money and his mistress in wife's private jet. Zoom, kaboom! But his mate got wise and planted a bomb on the plane.
That's I did note that one. I just love how much of a journey that headline is.
Yeah,
and they use different fonts across it.
Yeah, it's really the typeset is shit. But skirt chasing creep Karl von Kleist married wealthy heiress Elke Striffler after a whirlwind romance and quickly bilked her out of more than $3 million to support his cocaine habit and a harem of shady ladies. But the money-grubbing hubby paid for his sins in blood the day that he and bra-busting blonde ran off for Rio in Elke's private luxurious jet, and his fire-breathing bride blew them out of the sky. The weeping wife admitted planting a bomb in the suitcase of sexy center lens less than 2 hours before center and conniving Carl lit out for Brazil. Who's writing this?
What was that phrase? Bra-busting bombshell?
Bra-busting blonde.
Bra-busting blonde. When I read that one, I Googled the people involved.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't find anything. No, Google, I don't want to hear from Gemini, for fuck's sake. Couldn't find anyone involved. So I don't know if that one happened.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like, if of everything that didn't happen, this didn't happen the most.
Yeah.
I did, just on the subject of our bad Googling, I did find, when I searched for Bob Fenton and worms, it was basically just that story that came up. When I searched for Bob Fenton and magician, which was a little fact I'd missed about him previously, he was on the Alakazam TV show, apparently.
Right.
And had a storied career. He was at one point the bodyguard to General Patton, and in his later years, he was a professional Santa Claus.
Right.
And I've got a very strong feeling that worms was entirely not a real thing.
Right.
He did say he started it as a bit of a lark, right?
Mm.
So, look, the first Weekly World News of 1985, real letdown.
Yeah, big disappointment.
Mm.
But some of the ones coming up seem a little more cooked.
Yeah. What
supernaturally cooked. This one was very cooked.
This is cooked in so many problematic ways along the journey. Yeah. And as I said, we missed out a couple of stories that weren't great. Yet we still ended up reading one of people beating homeless people. So
yeah, mate.
Where can people find us?
Hypothepod.com.
And you can find us on Blue Sky at... Do we have the .com set up for that yet, or is it just hypothepod.bsky.social.
I think we're still
the old
do that.
school.
We can. I've just got to add a DNS entry, right?
Yeah, we'll get that sussed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm also on Blue Sky. What is it? aleofatime.com. Cam?
Oh, so you got it sorted for yourself. You just haven't done it for anyone else.
Oh, I don't have access to the DNS.
Yeah, only I do.
Yeah. So, do I get an apology or no apology?
No apology.
Okay, good.
I didn't say anything. I feel like I don't need to.
No, you don't need to, Salty.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Thanks, mate.
Cam,
look, you know what? I do apologise for not sorting it for us.
No need to apologise. You've been busy.
It's not necessary, mate. If it was Robbo, yeah. You can find me, Sex and Homer, on Blue Sky. Salty?
I think I'm the Salt on Blue Sky.
And thank you.
Might not be.
Thanks to Tammy and Alice.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye.
Later, skaters.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. Except you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget, where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing. Except Donald Trump is clearly a woman, and you're just blind if you can't see that. What did you